الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى ما بعد. قال الله تعالى في القرآن المجيد والفرقان الحميد بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم هن لباس لكم وأنتم لباس لهن صدق الله العظيم. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. اللهم افتح علينا حكمتك وانشر علينا رحمتك يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. يا رب صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم. Honorable ulama, brothers and sisters, inshallah in this session we'll be going through how to build a successful marriage, just like Mufti Rizwan Sahab has mentioned. Now this is a huge topic. For those who've been to seminars, courses, will know that a couple of hours are needed to cover a topic of this nature. So the time allocated, I don't think I'll be able to do justice on the topic. So instead of rushing through all the points, what I will be doing is I'll be giving you a framework. And inshallah, if we work towards this framework, then inshallah we will be building towards a successful marriage. So if a successful marriage was a tangible thing, if it was a building, and if someone was to ask me, now what would you regard a successful marriage as? Then I would say that what it says on the PowerPoint, that it's like a castle. Why? Because castle is a place where king and queen used to live. And in marriage, this is how we need to be. We need to treat our wives as queen, and they need to treat us as kings. There's a very famous quote, I don't know who said it, but it says that the only thing which a woman wants is to be treated like a queen. And the only thing which a man wants is to be respected like a king. And once a person has this, then inshallah the marriage will flourish. The other reason I say like a castle is because castle is fortified. And the reason it is fortified so that it protects its inhabitants. It protects those who are living inside from danger, from external problems. This is how our marriage needs to be. The other reason why I say castle is because castle is a place where king and queen, they find peace, tranquility living inside. And as Mufti Rizwan Sahab mentioned, this is one of the objectives of wedding, of marriage. You know, Quran says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنْ خَلَقَ لَكُم مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا لِتَسْكُنُوا. That from His sign is that He created for you, from yourself, azwaja, mates, spouses. Why? لِتَسْكُنُوا, so that you may find peace, so that you may find tranquility. The more closer you are to your spouse, the more peace, the more tranquility you will find. This is why the way Quran explains how close this relation should be is amazing. Now, there was a British economist. He said that the thing which led me to Islam was this one verse. And what is that verse? He said, the verse is هُنَّ لِبَاسٌ لَكُمْ وَأَنْتُمْ لِبَاسٌ لَهُنَّ. That they, Quran says they, meaning your wives, they are your garments and you are their garments. Mufassirin have written, why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say close? Because there is nothing more closer to our body than our garment. Similarly, there shouldn't be anyone more closer than us except Allah in our relationship with human beings than our wives. Or, if the wives are listening, than our husbands. So this is the objective of a successful marriage, is that how can we build this? How can we build peace? How can we build tranquility in our marriage? Now, I'll start the session formally, and I'll start the session with a question, because Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam, whenever he had Sahabas in front of him, and it came to teaching the Sahabas, he would use different methodologies to teach. Sheikh Abul Fattah al-Ghuddah has written a kitab called Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam as a teacher. And he has written in there the different methodologies which Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam used in teaching the Sahabas. Sometimes he would use analogies. Sometimes he would use examples. Sometimes he would just pose a question to gauge the audience, to prompt the audience, to grab the attention of the audience. So once he asked the Sahabas, who is a bankrupt person? And then he started the whole conversation and the whole hadith. So I want to start this session with a question. And the question which I want to ask is, how many of us here, it's a very simple question, know how to make a cup of tea? Raise of hands. Everyone? MashaAllah, everyone. Anyone here who knows how to make a nice cup of tea? We all know how to make a cup of tea, but any nice cup of tea? MashaAllah. Our Maulana Yunus has mentioned that he knows how to make a nice cup of tea. What are the main components of making a nice cup of tea? I'll just ask him. Water. Milk. Sugar. Tea bag. Some people, mashallah. A bit of time and care and mixing, yeah. No, mashallah. How do you like your tea? One spoon sugar, 2 spoons? 1 sugar. Okay, mashallah. Mashallah. So Maulana Yunus has mentioned that we need 4 ingredients. Water, tea bag, milk and sugar. 4 components to make a cup of tea. Similarly, for a successful marriage, we need 4 components. If you have this framework, if we have these 4 components in our marriage, then we are building that successful marriage. So the first thing which we need and which we require when making a cup of tea is water. That's the basic ingredient of tea. So what's the basic ingredient for marriage? Scholars have mentioned from, the hundreds of qualities there are. The foundation of our marriage is based on trust. Trust. If you have trust, then this marriage will flourish. But if you don't have trust, then this marriage will break up. Or it will be very bland, and soon it will break up. Trust is very important. Just like, Quran says everything in the world was created from water. وَجَعَلْنَا مِنَ الْمَاءِ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ حَيٍّ. That's the foundation of creation. The foundation of our marriage is on trust. The more trust you will have of your spouse, the more you will flourish, the more you will find your marriage to be successful. Now, a lot of people, they have this misconception regarding trust. They think, what does trust mean? Trust means if I was to give my wife my car keys, that means I trust her. No. Trust has a broader meaning. Trust means to have confidence in the other person. That's what trust means. Having confidence in the other person. The more confidence you will have with the other person, then the more, I would say, there's more trust in that marriage. Because, what is marriage? What's the definition of marriage? The definition of marriage is, it's a union of a male and a female. But that's half the definition. The actual definition and the full definition is that it's not just a union, but it's also a contract between a bride and a groom. Because this is a contract, this is why ulama will tell you that you need witness in your nikah. If 2 people get together, like a male and a female, and secretly gets married without a witness, without 2 witnesses, their marriage is not accepted. Because this is a contract. Now, a contract in this world, how does it get stronger? It gets stronger by having more confidence. So I'll give you an example. There's a company, it's got a contract with another company, another supplier, and the CEO finds out that this particular company who we have a contract with, he's going to get bankrupt. It's on the news. So what will that CEO do? He will go to his manager, he'll go to the workers, those who work under him, and will tell the workers that you need to start looking for another company. They've not gone bankrupt, but the confidence has gone low. If our confidence goes low in our marriage, then we will not trust the other person. This is why it's very important to build trust. It takes years to build trust, but it takes seconds to break that trust. And it takes forever to repair that trust. Very important. And I just want to mention this as well. We were with a scholar last week, and the scholar was telling us that unfortunately what's going to happen in future, is before, in our generation, majority of the wedding were through arranged marriage. But now we're going in a situation where majority of the marriage in the future, it looks like, is going to go through love marriage. This is what the scholar was saying. Now, one thing I'd like to mention something here is, trust is foundation, okay? And this foundation, the more stronger you have that foundation, the more successful that marriage is going to be. Now, when a person, okay, he shouldn't be in a loving someone, but if he is loving someone, and let's say he has loved that person for 5 years, and then he gets married to her, or she gets married to him. Now, it's the 6th year. Now this person will start thinking, and will start saying things because he thinks or she thinks that I trust the other person because we've been together for 6 years. But this is wrong. The first 5 years, you were not building trust. You were building love. It wasn't that you reached a level of trust that you proposed. It was that you reached a level of love, then you proposed. So your trust is going to start from the day you get married. And this is something which many people in the future will need to bear in mind. This is why so many marriages which are of this status are having problems. Because they think that we've been together for so long, so we trust each other. No. It's only time. Time will build that trust. And trust is very important because once that foundation is built, then every other thing will become easy. This is why, what was the quality of Nabi Karim sallallahu alayhi wasallam? He was al-Amin, trustworthy. He was known for being trustworthy at the age of 25. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not give him prophethood at the age of 25. Neither 30, 35, 40. At the age of 40, people regarded him as the most trustworthy. And when he received prophethood, what did he do? He went on top of the mountain, Mount Safa. And what's the first thing he said? That if I was to tell you that there's an army coming behind me, would you believe me? And they all said, yeah. Foundation was trust. After that, things will become easy. Quran Kareem, how does Quran Kareem start? Quran Kareem starts with Surah Al-Fatiha. And then it starts with Alif Lam Mim. No one knows the meaning of Alif Lam Mim. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابِ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ. This book has got no doubt inside. He wants to build trust. Once trust is there, then everything will become easy for you. So how can we build trust? Number one is to align our words to our actions. Whatever we say, we need to align that to our action. If you say to our spouse, I love you, but then we're not showing that love, we're all there somewhere else, then you're not aligning them words to your action. Secondly, how can we build that trust? Is be honest. Honesty and trustworthiness goes together. This is why, what was the quality of Nabi Karim sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? It wasn't just al-Amin. He was as-Sadiq as well, trustworthy. The more truthful you will be in your marriage, the more you are building that trust. So this is very important as well. Honesty, align your words with your action, and thirdly, be a good listener. If you're a good listener, okay, if you listen to your spouse, then she or he will think, and he will realize that this person is listening to my problems. So this will create trust as well. Now there's more to say regarding trust. I'll go to the next point. But trust is not enough for a marriage to move forward. We have to remember this. Because marriage is actually a journey. Marriage is actually a journey. That's why the title of this program was Journey to a Successful Marriage. On a journey, okay, if you have a person who you trust, but you have a person who you trust, but he's boring. He doesn't know how to express his feeling, how to say things. Then what's going to happen? You're going to find that marriage, you're going to find that journey very boring. This is why someone very beautifully said, there was a young lad, he was traveling with an old person, and he said to the old person, we're going on a very long journey. Do you think our journey is important or our destination is important? You know what the wise man said? Neither. Neither your destination is important, neither your journey is important. What's more important is your company. In your journey to marriage, to a successful marriage, your company, meaning your spouse, is very important. And how are you going to move on? In a car, the car will only move with them wheels. Similarly, this marriage will only move with this component. Why is that component? The next thing which we will have in our tea will be a tea bag. Just water is not tea. To change that water into tea, we need to put tea bag. So how are you going to turn this marriage, the only thing which you have is trust, into a journey, a successful journey, is by having communication. Communication is very important. Now, communication doesn't mean, okay, a lot of people, they think communication means the way we speak. Communication means the way we talk. No. Communication, what's the definition of communication? Communication means to express your feeling, either through verbally or non-verbally. So non-verbal is also part of communication. You know, there was a study, a very interesting study. In that study, it said that when you're communicating to someone, okay, 55% of what you're saying, okay, depends on your body language, your eye contact, the way you're positioned, the way your mood is. 55%. 38% is how you say. 38% is how you say. And only 7% on the words. The words, that only equates to 7%. But 38% is how you say, the tone. And 55% is the body language. And I'll just give you an example because time is very restricted. I'll give you an example regarding tone, 38%. If I've got 4 people in front of me, okay? And if I was to say to these 4 people, one sentence, but let's see how many meaning we can take from it. Please go to that shop. Please go to that shop. One meaning. Please, can you go to that shop? That's another meaning. Please, can you go to that shop? 4th meaning. Please, can you go to that shop? You see, one sentence, but you had 4 different meanings. Why? Because 38% of our communication depends on the way we say it. So this is a very important component in our marriage, that it's how we communicate. So how can we be a better communicator with our spouse? The fundamental aspect is our communication depends on our thoughts. This is very important to remember. When you express your feeling, and that express of your feeling is either verbally or non-verbally. Either verbally or non-verbally. Then where has that feeling come from? It's come from your thought. Then your thought was converted into feeling. And then your feeling was converted either into speech or into a behavior, into an action. So it's very important that we control our thoughts. If we can control our thoughts, then our communication will become really easy. So I'll give you an example. Let me see how much time I've got. Okay, I think I've only got 10 minutes left. So I'll just move on very quickly now. Communication. Yeah, thoughts. If we can control our thoughts, then we will control our communication. I won't elaborate on this because we've got lack of time. Now, just communication is not enough in marriage. Just communication. Why? Because you could you could go at a workplace and you could be communicating with your colleague from 9 to 5. But does that mean that you're close to that person? How many of us, we work with a colleague, someone at work, we are communicating all day, but after 5 o'clock, we don't even know them. So just trust and just communication is not going to move that marriage forward. There needs a third element to make this marriage a successful marriage. Just like if you've got two metal pieces, it doesn't matter how close you put that two metal piece. It doesn't mean that they're going to stick together. They need a third element to stick them to. If it's metal, then we'll do welding. Or if it's two wooden stick, we'll use glue. And what is that? What is that third element? In a tea, that would have been milk. In our marriage, that is love. That is love. If we have love, then that communication, will become better. This is why communication is very important. Because I want people to write this down. The more trust you will have in your marriage, the more communication you will have. The more trust you will have in your marriage, the more communication you will have. This is why you will realize that after 5 years, after 10 years, your spouse will be saying a lot more. She or he might be saying things which happened in the past. Why? Because now he or she finds more trust in you. So if you have more trust, you have more communication. If you have more love, then you have better communication. If you have more love, you're going to have more better communication. So more trust, more communication, more love, better communication. That communication might be small, might be few words, but it will mean a lot. So love is that component. Now, how can we build love in our marriage? There are so many different ways. I'll just mention 2 ways because of time. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that how can you build love? Let's take from the teaching of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said that exchange gifts with each other. Tahaddu, tahabbu. Exchange gift with each other. This will create love. So this is very important. With our spouses, the more we will exchange gifts, the more love will be created. So I'll give a practical solution to this. How can we do this practically? And I want everyone to do this. Take some practical tips from today. Is write down on your phone that what does my wife, or the wife can write, what does my husband like? And keep a section on your phone, a note section. And every time you go shopping, or every time she's on Amazon, every time she's there, and she likes something, but there's financial restraint, or you couldn't buy it, then write it down in your notes. Write down, for wife, write down what your husband's shoe size is. Write down what his clothes size is. For a husband, write her dress size. Write her shoe size. So when it comes for actually giving a gift, you're not scratching your head. What shall I buy her? I don't even know what to buy her. I've been with her for 10 years. No, you can just take out that note and you know what exactly to buy. But I want people to remember 2 things. Make sure you keep on updating this list. Otherwise there'll be problems. Because it could be, I know this is a bit sensitive, but it could be that when you got married, your wife was wearing a dress 14, for example. You got married and she went on to diet, and mashallah, you heard one day from a scholar that you should write on your notes. So you wrote size 14 dress. Now it's been 10 years, you think to yourself, you know what, I need to buy a dress for her. You go shopping and you look at that note. Now your wife, mashallah, through her diet, through her strict regime, she's wearing dress size 8. Now you, the poor husband gone right to shopping and bought a 14 size dress, and you give that to your wife. You know what the wife is going to do? She's not going to be happy. She's going to be sad. And you know what she's going to say? That, do you think I'm fat? And this will create problems in your marriage. So it's very important that these things you keep on updating these things. And the other thing is, when it comes to gift, is don't make it obvious. Because one thing about gift is, it should be, how can I say, it's a surprise. So you don't want to be going to White Rose and she says that, you know what, this dress looks really nice. And you're there, you know what, can you just move a bit to the side? I just want to take a picture. Okay, let me write it on my note. No. Then you've already told her that this is something. No. Do it discreetly. So this is very important. If you want to create love in your marriage, Nabi Karim sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, exchange gifts. And by exchanging gifts, you will create love. So we've got water, we've had tea bag, we've had sugar. We've had milk. And the fourth element which we require is sugar. Otherwise the tea will be very bland. So what's the sugar in our marriage? The sugar, let me just check. Got 4 minutes. The sugar in our marriage is self-development. It's very important. Because marriage is not all about giving others. Because if your cup is not full, how are you going to give others? So it's very important that we work on ourselves as well. Physically and spiritually. There's a garden out there. It's got very beautiful plants, flowers. But you don't have water. How are you going to plant that garden? You won't. Soon that garden will die. Similarly, it's very important that we, in our self-development, we work on ourselves. And you will realize, the more you will work on yourself, the more better you become, okay, the more better your marriage will become. You know, there's a Urdu saying which says, the Ghalib Umar bhar yahi bhool karta raha. Ghalib Umar bhar yahi bhool karta raha. Dhul chehre par tha, aina saaf karta raha. Dhul chehre par tha, aur aina saaf karta raha. In marriage, it's important that we polish ourselves. The more we will polish ourselves, the more we will be able to see better. And our marriage will have a different taste to it. We will know how much sugar to put in that tea. So it's very important that we work on ourselves physically and also spiritually. We work on ourselves spiritually. Because we, as humans, we are components of 3 things. Mind, body, and soul. Okay? The body part is nourished by the material thing. Food, drink. But our soul is nourished by spiritual things. Okay, so we need to work on our spiritual element. And how can we do that? Is by sitting in the majalis of scholars, by reciting Quran. Okay, in the Quran, okay, this is called tazkiyah. Tazkiyah means purification. The more you will purify yourself, okay, the more your surroundings will become better. You know, one scholar said something very beautiful. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He says something very important in the Quran, He only takes 1 oath or 2 oaths. And the only reason He takes an oath is to show us the importance of that thing. To show the importance of time, He says, wal asr. He takes the oath on time. But when He came to purification, okay, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took an oath 9 to 11 times. He says, وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا يَغْشَى وَالشَّمْسِ وَضُحَاهَا وَالْقَمَرِ إِذَا تَلَاهَا وَالنَّهَارِ إِذَا جَلَّاهَا وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا يَغْشَاهَا وَالسَّمَاءِ وَمَا بَنَاهَا وَالْأَرْضِ وَمَا طَحَاهَا وَنَفْسٍ وَمَا سَوَّاهَا فَأَلْهَمَهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا. After taking all these oaths, these are oaths after oaths after oaths, He says, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا. Verily that person is successful who has purified himself. After taking so many oaths, what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says? You will be successful if you purify yourself. Tazkiyah. So it's very important that we purify ourselves. So the 4th point was that we work on ourselves. Personal development. Very important. For that, it's important that how can we be better in this personal development? Is get a journal. Get a journal. Okay? And every night, write down in your journal, what did I do today? How did I react? How can I be better? And every day try to be better. Look at your journal. And your journal, okay, as you fill in your journal, you will soon start becoming better. Because you're actually thinking of that day. How can I make it better? What did I do bad? What did I do good? How can I build on my good things? So this is very important. Before you go to sleep, build on your journal. Now, I will conclude. I've got 2-3 minutes left. So 4 things are there to make tea. That's my alarm. 30 minutes. 4 things: water, tea bag, sugar, and milk. But shall I tell you something? If I started making tea 30 minutes ago, okay, then that tea by now would have become what? Cold. Not only cold, okay, but before it became cold, okay, if it's still hot, and if I was to give it to Maulana Yunusab here, would he have it? No. Yeah, we've got all the components. We've got sugar, we've got milk, we've got water, we've got a tea bag. There's another element which is needed to finish that tea. And what is that? That's the spoon. We need to mix it. Otherwise, that sugar is going to be right at the bottom. So in our marriage, what is that external thing which we need? Because we could be good at communication. We could be really good at trusting. We could be really good at self-development. But we need the external thing to make this, to mix this. And what is the external thing? That is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is dua. Remember this. You could be best at communication. You could be best at trusting. But until you don't have the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that is not going to get mixed. So it's very important that we make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Very important that we keep on making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We read in our, after salah, we make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Please make our marriage successful. Okay? And the external being, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, will make our marriage successful. And lastly, the other thing which is required, okay, because that tea which we made 30 minutes ago has become cold, is to put in microwave. Okay, we've got all the elements, but we just need to heat it up. So what is that? To heat our tea up, okay, is something very beautiful, as scholar said, is we need to do ta'aleem at home. Because we know all this. You know, a lot of things which I said to you, you might know all this. But we need to refresh. How do you refresh? Is do ta'aleem at home. This is very important. Okay, ta'aleem in English means education. Okay, educate our young ones, educate our spouse. Okay, sit down. Okay, it doesn't have to be Fazail Amal. It could be any Islamic books. Sit down with a book, with an Islamic book. Okay, if you're feeling very shy, then tell your little child, okay, your son, your daughter, that you know what, from today we're going to do ta'aleem at home, and make him or make her sit. And what you will realize is ta'aleem, okay, this home education brings so much barakah and blessing to your house. So much. If I had time, I would have elaborated on this. Okay? How much barakah ta'aleem brings into your house. So, if you have all this, then inshallah, we're going to have a very successful marriage. And the reason why I wrote that castle here, okay, there was a reason there. Because I want everyone to remember this castle. I know you've been looking at this word, castle. Why? Because C stands for communication, A stands for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, S stands for self-development, L stands for love, T stands for trust, and E stands for education, meaning ta'aleem at home. So with these words, I will conclude. I just mentioned one thing, because our next session is going to be on conflict resolution. Okay? And Mayunus, you can come. Is a conflict, you could have all these 4 things, and you could have the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But one thing to remember, very important, that in conflict resolution, okay, and Maulana Suhail Sahab, and this is why very important, those who are listening at home, make sure you come here, and those who are here, please stay until the end, is, I was actually looking at the research, it says, a cup of tea, 4 basic components. You know how many million or how many thousand different types of tea you can make from those 4 elements? You know how many? 24 million. 24 million from a 4 ingredient. So you could imagine how many different variation your marriage can have. So this is very important, that sometimes we have conflict in our marriage and we look into books. Sometimes books won't have the answers. Okay? You need to go externally. You need to go to someone, and they will look at your marriage. They will look at the 24 different variations which are there in your marriage, and they will pinpoint. Okay, this is why, this in this company, they told, and I will finish, they told so many people to fix this engine part. No one could fix it. This old man came, okay? He took out his hammer and he tapped on one of the places, and the whole engine started working. The old man went home and he sent an invoice of £10,000. So the CEO said, "What? An invoice for banging a hammer?" You know what he sent back? £1 for banging the hammer. £9,999 to know where to bang the hammer. So it's very important that we take, if we are going through conflict resolution, we take help from excellent scholars. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala firstly give me the tawfiq, and then the rest of us to act upon what has been said. As I mentioned, this is a very long session, inshallah. Some other time we'll go through all the points which were left out. With these words I will conclude. Subhanallah bihamdik, subhanakallahumma bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.